your match commentator, Bill McLaren.
And so this is the moment that Welshmen everywhere have been waiting for. The New Zealand haka on Cardiff Arms Park for the first time for 4 years. And the last bit of one of the hackers says we shall climb to the heavens in an exaltation of spirit, and there are 58,000 Welshmen here who say that the All Blacks haven't got a chance of that today on this very wet day. That pitch there that Fergie McCormick is using for this kick-off is very soft and soggy, and the All Blacks, who appear to have lost the toss, are going to play with the breeze behind them. And there's Fergie McCormick to start the match. A long one, right down to Edwards, the Welsh scrum half. And that's a fairly good start for Edwards, a good clean catch and a good touch kick midway between the Welsh 25 and halfway. This is Birtwistle. Found back, put it on by Taylor. And that was Davis, the Hawke's Bay centre, who caught that ball. And there's the Welsh 10 yards line, and here's the first scrummage of the match. Now, imagine this situation, the New Zealanders averaging 15 stone 8.5 against a Welsh pack averaging 15 stone 5.5. The two heaviest packs I've ever known in an international field. And a loud blast right away, a penalty against the New Zealand front row. And this is Gareth Edwards, who plays for Cardiff and Cardiff College of Education, but he's given it to Barry John, the outside half. And McCormick couldn't quite catch it. That's a good touch. Birtwistle. Jeffrey holding. Now it's nicely back. Out to Barry John. It's not a good kick. It's come much too far across field. Kerry Jones going for it with Malcolm Dick. There's Kerry Jones ready to take a quick throw in. The Welshman very alert here. 10 or 12 yards outside the New Zealand 25. Mainwaring palms, but it's Lahore who gets it. This is Colin Mead up to the 10 yards line, inside to Williams. That's the halfway line. Now this is the kind of ruck the New Zealanders like, one in which they're going forward. But Wales have won it. Gray comes round offside, and it's another penalty to Wales. Taken quickly to Barry John. The New Zealanders hadn't retired 10 yards quickly enough, and here's a good chance for Wales to open their account right at the start of the match. It's Paul Wheeler, playing in his very first international, who's going to take this penalty kick. There's the distance and the angle. Norman Gale, his skipper, is wiping the ball clean for him. And what a moment this is for Paul Wheeler, one of the 4 Aberavon players in the Welsh side, playing in his first international, having come in really when Keith Jarrett was unfit to play, playing in only his second senior season. And one's thoughts go back to April when young Jarrett of Newport, in a similar situation, kicked everything against England. Well, he got his head up badly. And that was Lahore, the New Zealand captain. The bounce beats Billy Rabel, but Wheeler back very quickly, just outside his own 25. And so this is midway between the Welsh 25 and halfway. Right at the tail of the line out for Wales, number 7 is John Taylor of London Welsh, playing in his 5th international. That's Graham Williams. That's the hack on up to Wheeler, but it had been knocked forward at the tail of the line out. Wales obviously got no advantage there. And that's number 7, Graham Williams, the young Wellington flank forward who played his first international against England last Saturday. Edwards puts in a good heel straight back to Barry John in his own 25. And John got his kick in, but he had to be quick because Kel Tremaine, who's just going back to the tail of the line out there, came off that scrummage very quickly. Palmed by Mainwaring, but a bit of barging or elbowing there perhaps. It's another penalty to Wales. And this is Barry John. And that's very safe. Sitting with me is Bleddyn Wales, who captained Cardiff in Wales when they beat the 1953 New Zealanders. What about it so far, Bleddyn?
Well, only time will tell whether Norman Gale's decision to play against the wind was the right one. I have my doubts. If they can hold New Zealand to 10 points, I think they may well be in with a chance, but it's going to be a very difficult job indeed, because there's a driving wind blowing from the west to east, right down the centre of the field.
Midway between the All Blacks, 25 and halfway. Nicely back to Laidlaw. Laidlaw in trouble, thrown down there by Hughes. There's a good driving Welsh ruck. My goodness, Norman Gale has his forwards going into those rucks really hard, but Max Wiltshire, I think, has been penalised there. And this is Lahore, the All Black captain. There's a high up and under. Barry John on his own 25. My goodness, he took that ball beautifully. And the wind from left to right simply sweeping this rain and drizzle into the Welshmen's faces. And obviously they'll be keen to hold what they have in this first half and use it in the second. Palmed by Lahore. Meads takes it, but not quite straight, and the Welshmen opt for the scrummage with Norman Gale playing in his 21st international. That's naturally enough, because they've got a very solid, sound scrummaging unit. Edwards almost charged down by Tremaine. This is Curtin. The high kick up to Wheeler. He's almost on his own line, and he makes a good mark as Birtwistle comes up. His young Wheeler, only 21. Big fellow, 6 feet 13 stones. And it's not a long kick, but it's safe enough. Quite clearly the All Blacks will want a lot of possession in this first half so that they can use the wind. Lahore palms. Gray couldn't take it. That was Hughes booting on, and Denzel Williams was there as well. This is well outside the Welsh 25. Number 4 there is Max Wiltshire, one of the two Aberavon lock forwards. The other one is Billy Mainwaring with the big white sweatband. There they are going into the scrum. Two big, strong, hefty fellows, reckoned as the two best club locks in Wales at the moment. Nicely out to Barry John from Edwards. There's the low kick. John quite cleverly keeping the kick low into the wind so as not to lose any distance. And Gareth Edwards, the Welsh scrum half, has got a knock there just as he got that pass away. And a great pity if he's incapacitated. A great player, Edwards, one of the great Welsh scrum halves in the making, I think. Played his first match against France last season and was really brilliant, although the Welshmen lost by 20 points to 14 in Paris. A good boy, this one, Bleddyn.
Yes, it'd be a great pity if it's going to hamper him, because it looks as if he's dislocated a finger there. Jerry Lewis of Newport, the Welsh trainer, is pulling it out, but it seems to be all right.
Bit of handball there. This is Edwards. Referee playing advantage. This is Curtin. There's the angle kick to make Wheeler run. And Barry John is getting across to it first of all, just short of his own line. And Dick, Davies and McRae, the New Zealand three-quarters, all chasing up quickly there. Now at the front of the line out for the All Blacks, there's number 2, Bruce McLeod, who's playing in his 13th international. Just behind him, Ken Gray. There's Colin Meads. There's Muller with the sweatband, this 17-stone prop forward. Williams, Laidlaw, the kick through. Wheeler has to play it. No, he doesn't. Touchdown. I was going to say I thought the ball was going to stop just short of the line and Wheeler would have had to play it and get in his kick, but this is Barry John with the restart. A high one for the forwards to get up and under, but they're not all chasing. I was surprised to see some of the Welsh forwards hanging back, but obviously somebody offside, somebody getting in front of the kicker. 10 minutes of the first half gone, no scoring here at Cardiff Arms Park. And there, number 3 is Muller, backing against number 3, Denzel Williams. Two great, massive men, almost 34 stones between them. A penalty there for offside at the scrummage. Billy Raybould perhaps getting up just a bit too quickly and getting a foot in front of the rear feet. And this is Fergie McCormick with the kick, well within his range. Little stocky 13-stone fullback who's scored 53 points in 4 matches so far. And that's dead safe. McCormick's 56 points now, and New Zealand go ahead by 3 points to 0 after about 11 minutes of the first half. Fergie McCormick of Canterbury, a controversial choice for this tour, only 5'7", 28 years old, but one of the big successes. And there's the happy situation for New Zealand, but they'll want a good few more points than that before they change round to face the wind. Barry John restarts. And it's pitched directly into touch. And the All Blacks are going to take the scrummage, although they could have accepted the line out or indeed asked for the kick to be taken again. And Brian Lochore seemed to be giving an instruction both to his standoff half and his scrum half. This is Laidlaw, the dummy run by Curtin, McRae, Davies, McCormick. He's half through. This is Dick. And magnificent covering by the Welshman. Look at them, 3 of them all there, including the number 8 forward, Jeffrey. Barry John there as well. But a beautiful move by the All Blacks. Curtin going on the dummy run on the far side, and McRae coming in at standoff. There's the first strike against the head. Laidlaw misses Curtin. McRae, he's 13.5 stones. Well tackled by John Taylor, gives it to Strawn. Worked out from Tremaine to Laidlaw. 10 yards inside the Welsh 25. That's the situation as Curtin, the All Black standoff, will see it. He's Edwards waiting. Wales holding, trying to catch Laidlaw offside. The All Black wing forward staying in the scrummage. This is Laidlaw, out to McRae. Davies, here's the danger man. He's made the overlap. Can he get it out to Birtwistle? Birtwistle is going to make the corner, and Birtwistle has scored. It's a try for Birtwistle, puts the All Blacks ahead by 6 points to 0 after 17 minutes of the first half. There's Birtwistle, that's his 6th try, and I'd love to see that try again. Here it goes. You notice how the Welshmen tried to hold it in the scrummage and tried to take it away, but they lost control. Now there it's from Laidlaw. Laidlaw beautifully out to McRae. Here's Davies, who made 2 tries against England. See how he's made the overlap, and there's Birtwistle in the clear, and he just gets to the corner before he touched the flag. And we're back now to Fergie McCormick, the fullback, on the 25. And that's the touch flag you see, so it's a kick that isn't really 25, 26 yards, but somewhere nearer 40. But he's got the breeze. And it looks a fairly good one. It may be just short, but it's not. He's made it. He has a wee look to make sure. And the All Blacks lead Wales by 8 points to 0. 18 minutes of the first half gone. Wales have it this time. Jeffrey was in there trying to clean up. It comes back to Edwards. And this palming of the ball at the line-out causes all kinds of problems for a scrum half on a day like this. It's difficult enough to deal with a palmed ball when it's dry, but when it's like a piece of wet soap, it really puts the scrum half into all kinds of trouble. 10 yards outside the Welsh 25, a penalty to Wales for, I think, not straight. This is Barry John playing in only his third international. And a lovely fade, a beautiful torpedo spin on that ball. It was well inside in play, and then it faded right out of Fergie McCormick's reach. Wiltshire tried to get that one, but Gray had it. That's Kerry Jones kicking on. He's almost up to the 25, and it's booted right on there by Dennis Hughes. And McCormick is back there, and so is McRae for the touchdown, and drop out to New Zealand. That's Errol Curtin restarting right up to Wheeler. And Wheeler also keeping the ball low into the breeze. Midway between the New Zealand 25 and halfway. A little bit of barging and elbowing there at that line out, and it's another penalty to Wales. And I should think Barry John might heave this one up in the air. No, he hasn't, but he's found a beautiful touch. I thought that was a situation for the high up and under to the posts, but this is tremendously encouraging to the Welsh pack. Palmed by Gray. Kerry Jones has it, but he ran into Bruce McLeod as well. There's big Brian Muller, number 3. Number 4 for Wales is Wiltshire, the big Aberavonlock. There's Norman Gale having a look down his forwards. Lochore has at the tail. Laidlaw. That really was a magnificent catch at the tail of the line-out. And of course, immediately a New Zealander catches the ball at the line-out, every other New Zealand forward is round him. Second from the front there is Ken Gray, hands on hips, this big Wellington prop, playing in his 17th international. Mainwaring beautifully back. Edwards, John, dummies to Rabel, but gets Lochore on halfway. Here's a chance for McRae, held by John Taylor, and handed it on to Ken Gray, who is up, and you see how quickly the All Black forwards congregated at the point of action there. Wales in possession. Barry John just halting, and the whole All Black pack are there in support. Quick heel, this is Curtin. And it's a good one, I think. Touch judge's flag. A bit late in going up, but I think he was quite right. It was a beautiful kick by Curtin. And so it's Kerry Jones of Cardiff to throw. Wales take away a whole lot of forwards, and there's a really good move in defence. You'd see that one. Wales withdrew forwards. The All Blacks did too, so Wales didn't get the penalty, but the long throw went to Barry John, and he has the advantageous position because he only has to go back to his own goal line, whereas the others have to go back 10 yards. Colin Meads over the 25, gives it to Williams. Williams couldn't hold it, but he's dribbling on, but I think he'd knocked it on. Yes, they'll have to come back. The All Black forwards coming into the game just a little bit more. And John Taylor, the Welsh open side wing forward, got a smack there. There's John Taylor, one of the 2 London Welsh players in this Welsh side. The other one's Billy Raybould, flank forward, who got his first match against Scotland last season, and a very lively fellow. bled in. It seems to me that the All Black forwards are just taking a little bit of charge.
They are indeed at this very moment, but I'm not at all sure that Brian Lahore, the New Zealand captain, really is entirely happy at this stage of the game, because I realise there's only 15 minutes to go, and they're only 8 points ahead, and don't forget that they tied in the last 20 minutes of the game against England last Saturday, and it could well be that this 8 points lead is not sufficient at half-time, Bill. Still, they are, as you say, getting it in charge up front at the moment, and still, as I say, another 15 minutes to go, and things might well just come another 10 points.
Edwards back to Barry John, well positioned directly behind the scrummage, and I think Wales will be quite happy to go into half-time at this situation. 8 points down, as long as the All Blacks don't get another one. Ken Gray couldn't quite hold that one. See how the All Blacks, they have so many big forwards that they're able to use 5 or 6 of them at the line out. They don't just have 2 specialists. Another heel against the head, came out the side, picked up by Tremaine. This is Billy Raybould over the 25, thrown down by Gray. Strachan couldn't hold it. It was kicked on by Wiltshire. Norman Gale is up there. A great surge by the Welshman, and a tremendously good support from the whole Welsh pack there. That really set this big crowd alight. Meads tried to palm, couldn't quite control it. I think it was going over his head. There's this big Aberravon middle row. Wiltshire and Mainwaring, 31 stones between them. Big fellas they are. Edwards, the pick-up by Jeffrey. Out to Edwards. Barry John through the gap. Held by Meads just outside the All Black 25. There's the heel from the ruck, and Laidlaw clearing. And that was an example of how good and useful those All Black forwards are at the rucks, because Wales should have won that one. They were in possession, but there's the kind of fellow who works the ball back, Ken Gray of Wellington. 16 stones and a bit. There's Denzel Williams alongside him. Mainwaring got well off the ground that time, and it's a penalty against the All Black forwards at the tail of the line out for going offside. Barry John kicking. And that's up to the New Zealand 25. Mainwaring, but he lost it. This is Laidlaw. Malcolm Dick to throw. Up goes Strachan, but he couldn't control it either. And it went forward, I think, from Strachan. You can almost hear the crunch of those 2 front rows coming together up here in our commentary position. That was a beautiful heel, but obviously a bit too quick for the referee's liking. But a twisting or lowering or not straight, it looked extremely good. This is Fergie McCormick. Well, this is Laidlaw. That's using the open space. It's a long kick, and somebody's going to have to play it. It's Barry John, who's covering beautifully for Wales. And the law says that the ball must be moved. When you take a short penalty, the ball must be moved. But anyway, this is the New Zealanders on the Welsh 25. Lahore palms, picked up by Meads. And he got Billy Mainwaring and John Taylor together there. The big pine tree, as they call him, Colin Errol Meads, the most capped man in the field, playing in his 40th international. Edwards, and again Edwards being hounded and harassed round the fringe of the scrummage by Kel Tremaine. Lahore, but they're playing advantage, I think. Laidlaw to Curtin. This is midway between the Welsh 25 and halfway. 10 minutes to go to half-time. New Zealand 8, Wales 0. Edwards waits. Back to Barry John on his own 25. Taken by McCormick. Stuart Watkins is tearing up there. And so is Wiltshire, but the touch judge's flag is up. Number 8 there at the tail for New Zealand, or second from the tail, is Brian Lahore, the skipper, who is leading the All Blacks for the 6th time. See how Brian Thomas helped to clean up there for Edwards. Edwards didn't have to commit himself. This is taken by Birtwistle. The rain is absolutely lashing down, whipped up by this wind going from left to right. Offside at that kick by the Welshman. And this is Laidlaw. Give it out to Colin Meads. There's the massive Colin Meads of the King Country, but encroaching within the 10 yards area before the ball had been played. And this is Fergie McCormick going to have a kick at goal. As indeed he can. He can change the type of kick. Because the first kick, the Welshman retired, but someone, I think, encroached within the 10 yards area before the ball had been played, and so the All Blacks have got the kick 10 yards further forward. And so this is Fergie McCormick. This is a monstrous kick. It's got to be a really big one, because the ball's getting very heavy now. And it's a kick of, I should say, about 55 to 60 yards, if you count in the angle. McCormick then. No, it's a bit too low. Nicely taken there by Jeffrey, the number 8. This is McCormick. Almost like a front row forward going in there. He could maybe have used it. This is Laidlaw. And the Welshmen have to drop to clear up that one. If the All Blacks had got their boot to that and started a dribbling rush, there could have been trouble, because the Welshmen are just outside their own 25. Lovely quick heel out to John from Edwards. He dummies Tremaine, and cool as a cucumber gets his kick in. McCormick chased by Stuart Watkins and caught by Stuart Watkins. Thrown into touch by Barry John, who's showing tremendous determination and spirit, this very light Welsh standoff half. Palmed by Strawn. That's Mainwaring in there trying to get it back. Meads trying to work it clear. Another penalty to New Zealand, taken by Laidlaw, given to Meads. This is the pine tree, almost up to the 25, beautifully worked back. And a bit of wild play there by one of the All Blacks. My goodness me. Admittedly, the Welshmen seemed to be offside there, because the ball had been put on the ground and worked back from the ruck. But a bit indiscriminate use of the boot. And it's a penalty to Wales, and we have to wait whilst Norman Gale, the Welsh skipper, is attended to.
Well, that was rather uncalled for, but nonetheless, I think it was in an offside position accidentally, but nonetheless, you mustn't be offside. Well, I think that the Welsh pack are doing magnificently up to this stage. You notice that the tackling is absolutely first-rate, and the New Zealanders are not able to get the ball to their fast-moving backs at this stage. The outstanding player on the Welsh side so far is undoubtedly Barry John. Some of his line kicking is superb.
Barry John with the penalty sends his forwards upfield another 25, 30 yards. it's beginning to rough up a bit. Of course, it's players just getting in front of the ball, and of course, both of those sides are experienced and knowledgeable and hard, and they tend to take a dim view of fellas who are offside, but they've got to play to the laws. This is an up and under by Laidlaw, and it's offside, and the Welshmen are going back to take a scrummage. They could have taken a penalty at the place of infringement, but they're taking the scrummage from where the ball was kicked. And I see Ken Gray on the far side having a bit of fun with Brian Thomas as well. Both front rows trying to impose their will on the other, trying to gain the advantage, trying to make things as easy as possible for their own hooker. Because possession is so vital, even on a day like this. You can't dictate the trend unless you have the ball. Here's the pick-up by Jeffrey, out to Edwards, nicely out to Stuart Watkins, but strange thing, Stuart Watkins did the same thing yesterday in practice. Looked quite a good pass, ball of course very slippery. This is 10 yards outside the New Zealand 25. Laidlaw, harried by Edwards, gets the ball away beautifully. Curtin. Across comes Wheeler. He's going to be covered by Kerry Jones. And there's Kerry Jones behind him, positioning very intelligently indeed, not getting in the way of the fullback, but getting in behind him so that if anything goes wrong, at least there's another line of defence. Three minutes to go to half-time. New Zealand 8, Wales 0. And the Welsh scrummage holding the New Zealanders, but that kick by Jeffrey, charged down by Laidlaw into the 25. This is Barry John. And you can see how close this is to the Welsh line. Wales desperately keen to prevent another New Zealand score at this stage. Palmed back by Taylor, that's Williams going in for it. There's the drive, the ruck, the ball coming out the side, but it had been just pushed forward. And here's one that Bruce McLeod, the All Black hooker, would love to win against the head. Edwards, straight back to Barry John. And those half-backs linking up beautifully. The Welsh halves playing extremely well. There's Bruce McLeod, number 2, playing in his 13th international. Ken Gray, this big Wellington prop behind him. Here's a peel out the back. Lochore couldn't quite get to it. Colin Meads goes in. Now Strawn. Norman Gale boots on over the 25. And the referee isn't not quite distinct, but Norman Gale given offside there. And this is a penalty to New Zealand, and that's the 25, and this is Fergie McCormick. And there's the distance and the angle, at least the angle. The distance, I'd say, is about 35 yards. And McCormick, who had a wonderful start to this tour with 18 points in a match in Canada, and then 18 points in his first match here in this country. He'll be desperately keen to get this one. I think he sliced it. Caught by Barry John. Drop out to Wales. And that was a vital kick. I think McCormick will be angry at missing that one. John restarts. Laidlaw waits. Out to McRae. The All Blacks going for a try. They want more points than 8. McRae well tackled by Barry John. Lochore going onto it on the Welsh 25, but it had gone forward. Barry John, no, Billy Raybould. And that much to the liking of the Welsh crowd. No risks being taken at this stage. Almost in half-time. New Zealand 8, Wales 0. Bound by Jeffrey and by Hughes. Edwards. There's the mighty Colin Meads. Number 4 there is Wiltshire. Number 2, Norman Gale. Nicely back from Tremaine. That pass from Laidlaw out to McRae. Davis was coming up quickly but couldn't get the pass. That's Strawn putting it on. This is Tremaine. Out to McCormick. And the Welsh covering and tackling. Absolutely first class. There's Strawn, this big 6 feet 4.5 lock forward from Manawatu on the North Island, the fellow with the sweatband. Just behind him, Kel Tremaine, who had Achilles tendon trouble but looks pretty fit. Bound back from Jeffrey. Edwards in trouble. That's Lahore. This is the kick on from Bruce McLeod. Williams is there. Can Williams get over? He's lost possession. My goodness, that was great following up by Williams. And if he'd held the ball, he would have scored. Just squirting out of his hands. And that's John Taylor, the Welsh open side wing forward. He had a real crack.
Well, this game is not by any means over at the moment, and Wales, I think, feel themselves extremely fortunate to be only 8 points down after that move there, particularly by Graham Williams, was very nearly over. But there it is. That's how it goes.
And we've had almost a couple of minutes of injury time. New Zealand 8, Wales 0. Barry John to restart. It's a big one. Lahore waits. And they're going for the try. That's Lahore to Strawn. See how they commit the tackler. This is Laidlaw. Here's the switch of direction. Out to Curtin. They're 2-1. He should have passed. I think Curtin should have passed because they had a 3-1 overlap. But the referee's whistle has gone for half-time. New Zealand are leading Wales by 8 points to 0. There's the situation. It looks a very happy one for New Zealand, but in point of fact, I don't think Brian Lahore will be all that satisfied, because now his team have got to turn to face a very stiff breeze and the rain, and I think Norman Gale will be quite happy with this situation and hoping that with the breeze in the second half, Wales can overtake this 8 points. And so 40 minutes to go as Barry John prepares to restart with New Zealand leading Wales by 8 points to 0. And he's got to wait for the referee's whistle at half-time. And that's not surprising, the big one. Beautifully taken by Davies, the big Hawke's Bay centre. And so it's the New Zealanders who, I believe the other day, were put through some really strenuous coaching by their assistant manager Fred Allen in covering and counter-attacking, and this may well be what they've got to do this half. Palmed by Jeffrey. Gale eventually healed that ball from that loose scrummage that developed. There's Norman Gale just giving a little word of advice to his forwards, leading his country for the first time in his 21st international. Palmed by Jeffrey. Denzel Williams, the kick ahead, and McCormick makes a mark, and he's been awarded it. And McCormick has a look at John Taylor, the Welsh open side flank forward, who came up there pretty fast. And of course you've got to play to the whistle when a mark's made. It's no good stopping just because the fellow shouts mark. This is the kind of encouragement that opponents say is worth 5 points to any Welsh side. Tremendous inspiration. Jeffrey palms, back from Brian Thomas. He's thrown over by Muller. And Gareth Edwards keeps them inside the New Zealand 25. There's big Brian Thomas with his hands on his hips. Huge fellow, 17 stones. In front of him, Max Wiltshire with the sweatband, and just behind, Billy Mainwaring with the wider sweatband. Bruce McLeod has it. There's a drive from Colin Meads, and that's that's Brian Thomas who has him. Eventually it was Kel Tremaine who took that ball. Stuart Watkins to throw. Gray palmed it. Penalty to New Zealand. I think either a bit of pushing or maybe going beyond the end. There's Colin Meads. McCormick on the 25. He sliced it. Barry John on halfway. Now, of course, the Welshmen want to gain territorial advantage to push up in towards the New Zealand 25, but I must say I think I'd try and keep the ball in play. There, for instance, Barry John might have hoisted a high one, because it's a kind of thing to make mistakes. It's an injury to John Taylor, number 7 there.
Well, the Welshmen mustn't see that the ball is in touch too much. They must keep the ball on the island, because they must remember that they're 8 points behind. And although they must obviously keep the All Blacks on the defensive, they must certainly throw the ball about and let the backs have a run with the ball. I know it's a difficult ball to handle, but they must certainly try and penetrate this All Black defence. Well, I'm sure everyone must be highly delighted with this Welsh pack so far. The tight forwards are playing absolutely magnificently. And Brian Thomas is fitting in wonderfully well as a tight head prop, having a rare old tussle with Ken Gray. But Max Wiltshire and Billy Mainwaring, this fine Aberravon second row, are certainly holding their own with Meads and Strawn.
Midway between halfway and the All Black 25. Wiltshire palmed. Denzel Williams tries to get it. Picked up by Jeffrey. Out to Edwards. Now there's the kind of kick that really gets the crowd roaring. The whole All Black side going back. Lahore can't hold it. And eventually it's Bert Whistle who puts it into touch. You see the panic that can even develop in this great All Black side if that high kick isn't caught first time. Wiltshire, Edwards, John, not far enough. It's a crossfield too much, but Kerry Jones going in. Picked up again by John. And so the All Blacks not finding it easy to break this stranglehold that Wales have on them at the moment in the opening minutes of this second half. A good through. McCormick's going to hurry, but it's in touch and go. And that's it with 5 minutes of the second half gone. And Errol Curtin, who scored those 2 great tries against England, hasn't had an awful lot of useful possession today, ready to restart. Playing with his Otago partner Laidlaw. There's a great drive by McLeod, number 2. Number 3 is Muller, the 17-stoner, and see how closely bound the All Blacks were. This is the great thing about their rucking. They don't always go in ones. They sometimes go in 2s and 3s. Still just outside the New Zealand 25. Palmed by Strawn, back to Laidlaw. It's a very useful kick on a day like this from so close to the touchline. And certainly it eases the pressure on the All Blacks. Number 7 at the tail there, Graham Williams, great Wellington flanker. Wiltshire had it, but he lost it. Picked up by Meads, back to Laidlaw. And it'll be interesting to see how the All Blacks play this second half. One wonders whether they'll keep it tight and close and go back to the old pattern, or whether once they're up into their opponent's half, they'll open out. Meads Laidlaw, Curtin. In trouble from the Welsh back row. This is the ruck Wales want to win. And Laidlaw, the All Black scrum half, waving his arms at two Welshmen who we thought were offside. There's a couple of lovely straight backs in the front row there. Ken Gray on this side for New Zealand on the loose head, and Brian Thomas, 16 stones and a bit against 17 stones and a bit. This is Errol Curtin, very slow, putting his men in trouble as Jeffrey boots on, almost up to the line. Kerry Jones just beaten by the roll of the ball. Well, that's the desperate situation for New Zealand. Dick to throw. Carried over. New Zealanders taking the ball over their own line, making dead. A scrummage 5 yards out. And Gareth Edwards has a look at his outside half, Barry John. I think they're anticipating that Kerry Jones may come into the line for this one. You'll see the heave going in as the ball leaves the Welsh scrum half's hands. Taylor has broken, but Edwards didn't get a good heel. That was tragic for Wales, because Taylor, number 7 there, had broken from the scrummage and was in the standoff position to try and give them, the Welshman, an extra man in the back division. But the heel was impeded. Laidlaw in trouble, thrown over by Gareth Edwards. You see how quickly the Welsh back row got out there. Kerry Jones out to Barry John, the drop goal. Has he made it? It's over all right. There's Barry John, who dropped a goal for Llanelli against the Australians when Llanelli won by 11-0. But that's the happiest drop goal I'm sure he's ever put over, because it reduces the leeway. 8 points to 3 to New Zealand with about 9 minutes of the second half gone. There's the little fellow. He dropped 18 goals last season. Fergie McCormick to restart. Denzel Williams waits. Up goes McLeod and Muller. Back to Edwards. And you can imagine the excitement here when the Welshmen are cheering even that kick, which rather sliced off Edwards' foot. Out they come 15 yards. And Colin Meads on the far side of that scrummage was just a little bit annoyed there, because I think he was hauled down before he'd actually caught the ball. Here's Ken Gray and Brian Thomas on this side. Ken Gray trying to get in. And Gray's tremendously hard and strong, but it really takes a lot to take 17 stones of pressure on you, especially when there's a lot of weight behind. And the referee, Mr. Titcombe of Bristol, is going to have to keep a tight grip of this match. It would be a tragedy now if it got a little bit out of hand. That was well channeled. Edwards to John. There's the high one. It's too far. McCormick. The whole of Cardiff Arms Park aflame with excitement. Norman Gale stops Stuart Watkins from taking a quick one. Meads, Laidlaw, Curtin, McRae. Dick is up after it, but that's halfway. Wales still very much in this match with 12 minutes of the second half gone. The wind behind them. Laidlaw. And that was Kerry Jones going up the front of that line out. This chappie throwing in, who ran for Wales in the Commonwealth Games in Jamaica in '66. But again, I think just being nudged forward in that line out, not easy to catch this slippery ball. A penalty against the Welsh front row. Laidlaw out to Meads. This is Meads up to the 10 yards line. Beautifully served back. Laidlaw to Curtin. Curtin trying to go outside Barry John, and he's got there. Kick half charge down. Tremaine going in for it, can't hold it. And Billy Mainwaring having a real old dust up there with Brian Muller. And it's a penalty to New Zealand. Billy Mainwaring, this big, tough, fiery Aberafan lock forward. But I'm sure he'll be angry about it, because Fergie McCormick is capable of kicking this goal. It's into the breeze. You can see it's a very long way. 45 yards with a heavy ball. And McCormick is not supposed to be a long kicker of the stature of, say, Don Clark or Bob Scott. But when New Zealand need a penalty goal, and they certainly need one now, you never know what their fullbacks are liable to do. It's not so terribly far away, just short, 10 yards short. Dropped there by Jeffrey, and it's a score. He's given the try. We'll sort out who it is in a moment. I think it's Davis, the Hawke's Bay centre. Yes, it's Bill Davis. That's his first try of this tour. And he's put the New Zealanders ahead by 11 points to 3 with about 14 minutes of the second half gone. Let's have another look at that try, because it was such a surprise. There's McCormick has kicked the goal to put the New Zealanders up by 13 points to 3. There's the score, taking the Welsh defence completely by surprise. And it showed, of course, the value of immediate support wherever the ball is. Davis, the centre, up there quickly, and he had McRae, his Hawke's Bay colleague, alongside him. And so it's 13 points to 3 for New Zealand. 15 minutes of the second half gone. And Davis, having just got that try, has knocked on short of his own line. The touch judge's flag is up, but the referee has given the knock on, as well he might. A pick up by Jeffrey. Out to Watkins. Watkins, is it a score? He lost it. He seemed to, at one moment, have it down, but perhaps he lost it just as it left his hands. And the referee has given a 25. And there's big Colin Meads. I'm sure he won't be taking the dropout. And the referee has awarded a penalty where the ball would next have been brought into play for misconduct whilst the ball was out of play. This is Meads. Beautifully tackled by John Taylor there. This is on the New Zealand 10 yards line. And it's McRae, the big centre, trying to dribble through, but someone got in front there. And it's a penalty to Wales. And this is Paul Wheeler, the young fullback, who's going to have his second shot at goal. Now, that's the distance of the kick. About 45 yards plus a bit for the angle. This is Wheeler, the young Aberafan fullback, 21 years old. Scored over 50 points in September of this season, but hasn't been kicking quite so well since then. But he did score 148 points when he became the Aberafan first choice fullback last winter, so he can kick them all right. It's just a question of whether he has the temperament for the great moment. I think he got his head up a bit again. But anyway, it's New Zealand in charge at the moment, having survived this tremendous territorial assault. That's the situation with about 17 minutes of the second half gone. Still plenty of time for Wales to pull this game out of the fire. This is Jeffrey, back to Edwards. And so it's Norman Gale at the front of that line out, the Welsh captain from Llanelli, who must be ruining that New Zealand try. Wiltshire palming down, and that was a deliberate attempt by Wiltshire to palm it straight down to Stuart Watkins. Here's Stuart Watkins coming back. Just now he went up the front of the line out very quickly to try and get a surprise score. Gray palmed that down. And it's Stuart Watkins to throw. There's Ken Gray, Colin Meads, and then Strawn with the sweatband. Strawn couldn't quite hold it. This is Laidlaw. Wheeler. Oh, and he's really caught there by Birtwistle coming up the wing very quickly. And Wheeler forced into touch. In the past, he would have got the throw in, but now when you're forced in, it's the other side who get it. So Birtwistle throws, Strawn tries to palm. And it's another penalty to Wales. And this time, it's little Gareth Edwards who's going to have a pot at goal. Now this fellow has the temperament, there's the distance. I believe a player with real big match feel, this fellow, and he is a goal kicker. In fact, folk up in my own area in the border country know how good a kicker he is, because he came up with a Cardiff College of Education 7 to play in a border seven-a-side tournament. He was kicking goals from all over the place. This is the moment of concentration. Nobody's hooked it. Davis waits. And that's pushed the All Black forwards well up. And New Zealand still lead by 13 points to 3. 19 minutes of the second half gone. Now this Cardiff crowd would love to see this Kerry Jones throwing in get a real run. And Colin Meads sitting down there having a look just to see who was around. Number 6 on this side, Kel Tremaine, this big 16-stone flanker who led Hawke's Bay to the Ranfurly Shield in the provincial competition in New Zealand. Here he is on the side of the scrum at the back there. This is Laidlaw, out to Curtin. You'd see how beautifully Laidlaw was able to get that ball away from the ground. Just one quick deft movement and it's in Curtin's hands. And we're coming back for an injury to Errol Curtin, the standoff half who scored his 2 tries against England. Tragic for Wales, bled in that they conceded that try.
It is indeed. I feel up to that stage they were well in with a chance of victory, but I fear that that try was the match winning score, because it means now that Wales have to score 11 points to win this match, and I think it's even beyond them, as well as they're playing up front, to score 2 tries. You see, they're not quite getting the ball quick enough for the halfbacks to move, Barry John to be given a chance, or even the centres to run with the ball. It is a relentless battle. I noticed in point of fact before that try that 1 or 2 of the New Zealand forwards were labouring across the field, but of course that try was a tremendous incentive for them, and they're now fighting back again.
And it's a penalty to Wales for offside there at the tail. They get the penalty 10 yards further forward. And this is Wheeler, and he's going to try to have a kick at goal. which seems to me an unusual decision because you see the post now. This is Wheeler. He's inside his own half, which makes it a kick of at least 56 yards and probably a good bit more with the angle. I should have thought it would have been in Wales's interest to keep the ball in play, to keep it moving. Of course, if he was to kick it, it would be a tremendous boost to the Welsh side. But I think a try and a conversion would be even better. My goodness, he's given it a good lick. My, it was a good kick. A bit left and a bit short, but nonetheless with a heavy ball. A very good effort by Wheeler. And it still doesn't alter that position. New Zealand still well in command. And this time it's Ian McRae who's going to take the drop out because Errol Curtin is just a little bit lame. McRae the centre, or second 5/8 as the All Blacks call him. And that was Lahore, the All Black captain, who was got his foot to that one up to the All Black 10 yards line. Palm taken by Denzel Williams, out to Edwards. It's a bit high and it's a bit far, I think. McCormick, but it's Malcolm Dick who is eventually back, and because McCormick didn't touch the ball, it's a drop out. If he'd played it whilst it was still in play, Wales would have got a scrummage 5 yards out. The Welshman not quite judging this stiff breeze behind them, kicking just a bit too far, giving McCormick a bit of time. McRae again restarting. Edwards. He feeds it out and it, my goodness, big Denzel Williams just couldn't quite hold that one. Great chance for Wales. But this is only 10 yards outside the All Black 25. John Taylor, the number 7, the Welsh open side wing forward, breaking from the scrummage there and quickly going behind the rear feet. Though I think the whistle had already gone. There's the first strike for Wales against the head. Edwards, Barry John. Now they had an overlap, they haven't, but this is a chance for Stuart Watkins. Was he in front? And Stuart Watkins was in front of the kicker. That was Little Hall, the centre, up there as well. Stuart Watkins very disappointed, but the referee decided he was in front of the kicker and therefore offside. And that's McCormick. And let's see Norman Gale at the front of the line out here. This is the stage where Gale has got to use all his powers of inspiration to draw a little bit extra from the Welsh back. There he is, calling on them. Palmed by Jeffrey. Gale trying to pick up. It's booted on by Tremaine. That's McLeod. Billy Raybould just taking his eye off the ball for a second, I think. Kerry Jones. And it's Laidlaw who has to run back to his own 10 yards line. This is the fullback, Wheeler. But the Dutch judge's flag is up. And so we've under 15 minutes to go to no side. New Zealand 13, Wales 3. Wiltshire beautifully back to Edwards. McCormick waits on his own 25 with not much of an angle. McRae comes back to cover. Curtin and Davies are back there as well. And that's Big McRae, the Hawke's Bay centre. Just as he tried to put the ball away. A great bit of covering by McRae there. He really did extremely well to get back to cover his fullback. McCormick isn't always just quite happy with the high ball, and he obviously wasn't there.
Well, time is ticking away and the Welshmen must keep the ball on the island. They must be probing forward toward the All Black line and to get as clean a ball as they can. It'd be a mistake, I think, to keep on kicking all the time. If they are to kick, it should be the grubber kick so they can get up quickly onto the defence. McCormick at this stage at full back with New Zealand is a little uncertain because with facing this driving wind and very slippery ball, he's having great difficulty. So I would feel that the best tactics for the Wales at this stage would be for Barry John or even Gareth Edwards to slice the ball through on the ground and get a fast covering up. Certainly they can win this game, I suppose, in the last 15 minutes, but they must certainly keep the ball amongst the backs and on the island.
With about 13 minutes of the match to go. Palmed by Lahore, Laidlaw. Here's Brian Thomas again on this side. Laidlaw has a look. The All Blacks magnificent control in the scrummage. See how they're controlling that ball, keeping it in. A tremendous drive. That really is brilliant scrummaging. Magnificent scrummaging. Laidlaw. And he's 13 stones and he's still going. Till eventually put into touch by Jeffrey. And that really takes the steam out of the opposing forwards to be driven back in the half-crouch position. Williams tried to get it. There's McLeod, number 2, arriving. This is out to Curtin from Laidlaw. So it's Stuart Watkins to throw. Strawn palms. But I think a little bit of arging there at the tail, a little bit of obstruction. Now Barry John surely will keep this in play. Well, he hasn't, but it's certainly a beautiful kick. The point is, of course, that it gives New Zealand the throw in because the ball apparently was in touch before McCormick played it, and that should be an advantage. Though with a slippery ball, you can't tell. John Taylor trying to get a boot to it, and Curtin. It's eventually hacked on by Tremaine. This is Wheeler, the fullback. Wheeler, who looked just a bit uncertain, nonetheless has found a beautiful touch. My goodness, Wales couldn't be any closer. And the All Blacks this time taking away 4 forwards, and Brian Thomas there has to retire the 10 yards. Back comes Brian Thomas. And there was an All Black on the wrong side of the ball, it seemed to me just now, ready to prevent a Welsh heel. But the All Blacks have been given the penalty. Fergie McCormick asking the exact place. An odd second or two is vital now to the New Zealanders. 13 points to 3 up, and with I make it about 10 minutes to go to no side. There's Max Wiltshire at the front, the thin sweatband. And here again, Wales this time withdrawing forwards. That ball didn't go far enough because Billy Mainwaring was right at the back of the line out and could have taken it unmolested, but it didn't go far enough, and Strawn was able to knock it down. Mainwaring, and it's back from Wiltshire. Cut by Billy Raybould. Raybould ran into Meads, and look at that rocking, the driving, the feet over. And a lovely heel for Wales, but the referee's whistle had already gone. One of those unfortunate situations for a referee when the non-offending side gained the advantage, but his whistle has gone a bit too early. That was a good heel, and Wales could have used it. However, they've been granted the penalty, and it's Norman Gale, the Welsh captain himself, from Llanelli, the third kicker tried by Wales this afternoon, who's going to have this shot at a penalty. Now, I'm sure if this one goes over, you'll hear the biggest roar you've ever heard in your lives, because this fellow, tough, hard hooker who's played in 21 internationals for Wales, is also immensely popular. It's there! And that must have made Norman Gale's day. It just crept over, but it's 3 points. New Zealand 13, Wales 6. I make it about 8.5, 9 minutes to go to no side. And that's the situation. Can Wales get 8 points in about as many minutes? McCormick to restart. Wiltshire over halfway. Birtwistle couldn't hold it. It's hacked on eventually by Hughes. It was Hughes. There's Hughes, the blindside wing forward. And again the crowd comes alight. They sense great things happening. Lochore, Williams on his own 25. That's Graham Williams, a lovely heel, out to Curtin. And I think the crowd here are perhaps remembering in 53-54 when Ken Jones scored a late try to give Wales a great victory. 7 minutes to go. New Zealand 13, Wales 6. And Wales did well to work that one. Birtwistle to Curtin. Edwards out to John. There's the high one meant for Kerry Jones. McCormick makes a beautiful mark, and my goodness, he had to keep his eye on the ball there. That's probably Fergie McCormick's best bit of work for New Zealand today, because if he'd lost that one, he had the whole Welsh three-quarter line coming up on him. And it's just in. A very useful kick with the heavy ball against the wind. Midway between halfway and the New Zealand 25. 6 minutes to go. New Zealand 13, Wales 6. Palmed by Jeffrey. This is Wiltshire. The Welsh forward showing tremendous fire, and it'll be interesting to see if the All Blacks can keep up the pace. Laidlaw out to Curtin. Curtin had Dick outside him, but there wasn't very much room for Dick to work in. And it's a situation where Wales must get possession. They've got to get the ball if they want to do something. And the All Blacks will be desperately keen in those closing minutes just to keep the ball from them. And Kerry Jones has got a knock. Kerry Jones, the Cardiff wing.
Well, the battle is really on. That penalty goal by Welsh Cooper has put them back in the game, but the minutes are ticking away, but they must certainly again. The unfortunate thing, of course, is that the Welsh forwards are holding the New Zealand forwards, but they're not quite getting on top and getting the quick possession from the loose that's needed for Barry John and Gareth Edwards to be streaking away down the centre of the field.
And so with 5 minutes and a bit of injury time, New Zealand 13, Wales 6. Mainwaring at the back gives it to his Aberavon pal Wiltshire, but it wasn't straight. The All Blacks take the scrummage. Laidlaw has a look at Curtin to see which way he's going, just to get the signal right. Laidlaw, Curtin, and again Laidlaw using that beautiful little scoop flip pass, which doesn't waste a second. A split second is so vital for a scrum half in a situation like that. Palmed by Lochore. Laidlaw again, and I doubt whether we'll see the All Blacks trying anything fancy or spectacular in this situation. They'll be quite happy to keep the ball tight, to play to the big forwards. Wiltshire tried to get that one. This is Laidlaw. Now this is where Wales really want the ball, but it's Colin Meads who got it. He couldn't hold it. Taylor booting on up to the 10 yards line. Kel Tremaine plays soccer with it. Wiltshire hacks it, and eventually it's Bill Davis, the Hawke's base centre, who clears up for New Zealand. Midway between the All Black 25 and halfway. Kerry Jones. Mainwaring again. He's gone back a bit further in the line out. Try and use the longer throw so that Wales can get the ball out into the open. The ball from close to the front of the line out at the moment is absolutely useless to Wales. They must get it further back. And there again is this wonderfully controlled drive by the All Blacks, keeping the ball in the scrummage, sapping the other team's strength, controlling the situation, and then laying the ball back almost like a hen laying an egg for Laidlaw to put in his touch kick. On halfway. Nicely back, but Edwards couldn't quite hold it. It was just short of his fingertips, and Edwards really did well to recover there. On the Welsh 10 yards line. Gray took that one. Ken Gray, the big Wellington prop, standing at number 2. All Blacks, as I said, quite happy to hold it fairly tight. 2 minutes to go to no side, with perhaps a little bit of injury time. Found by Meads. Meads coming away from that line out. A penalty, a bit of barging. There's the high one, but I think it's maybe too close to the touchline. Oh, a magnificent take by Brian Lochore, the All Black captain. How could anything be more inspiring to his side than that? A big number 8 forward, taking the ball heavy and wet and slippery, quite beautifully there. On the All Black 10 yards line. Number 6 there is Kel Tremaine, the man who had Achilles tendon trouble, but obviously hasn't affected him a great deal today. Great big 16-stone flanker. Laidlaw waits. There's the controlled drive. The aim, of course, is to try and catch the opposing side offside to get a penalty. But there's they haven't. The All Blacks have wheeled it, and they almost took it away with their feet. But again, that's a perfect example of wonderfully drilled forward work, sort of thing that has to be practiced so much. Again, the scrummage comes out 15 yards, perhaps not quite straight. Difficult to tell in the fading light whether the ball has been nudged forward or whether the referee decides it's not straight, but there it's a penalty to New Zealand. And this is Lochore, and there's Colin Meads alongside him, number 5, the big fellow with hands and knees, but up comes the smaller middleweight figure of McCormick. And I make it that we are now into injury time. New Zealand 13, Wales 6. This is midway between the Welsh 25 and halfway. Nicely back from McLeod to Laidlaw. McLeod doing a nice bit of tidying up work there at the front of the line out. And there again, the All Blacks quite happy to play out time to keep it close to the touchline. Strawn palms, Laidlaw, Curtin. My goodness, that was very nice. Out to Davis from Curtin. Back comes Tremaine. There's good flank forward work. Lovely bit of covering by Tremaine. There's the All Black drive, this tremendous ruck, but Wales have won it. Out to Barry John. He's gone outside Davis. He tries to throw it out, but I think it went forward. Referee waiting just for a second to see if the All Blacks gained an advantage from the forward pass, but they didn't. And Bill Davis, the Hawke's base centre, got a smack there as he tried to deal with that Welsh counter-attack. Well, it looks very much as if New Zealand has won this match
deservedly, I feel, on the run of play, although I think the score of 13 points to 6 has flattered us somewhat. Wales have been always in the game, but although the pack have played tremendously well, they just haven't been able to get on top of this magnificently drilled New Zealand 8, and in consequence they haven't been able to get the ball back smoothly to their halfbacks.
There we are, right in front of the Welsh posts. Here again is the controlled drive. See the ball being held there, just held in the back by Lahore. There he is now, Lahore just keeping it. Now it's nicely put back to Laidlaw. The short kick through meant for Dick. Kerry Jones has it. And they're all having to... I thought the referee was going to bring them all back. He was having a word with a Welsh player. But they've gone over to the touch judge, who has marked that the ball is in touch. And this is about 4 or 5 yards out from the Welsh line. Number 3 for New Zealand is Muller, this big front row forward, just having a look at Laidlaw to see what the signal is, to see where the ball's going to be thrown, so that he knows whether to block or whether to get away. It was going to be thrown, I think, to number 4, Strawn, but maybe barging over the line. Now Barry John, is he going to kick for touch or keep it in play? Again, it's Lahore who's back there. Doesn't find touch. This is the full-back Wheeler. Now he's got to open out. I think he should have passed. This is Kel Tremaine coming back over the New Zealand 10 yards line. And it is interesting that Williams was there, and Birtwistle and Laidlaw and Curtin as well, all covering back there, not prepared to concede any kind of score to Wales, even at this stage when we've had fully 3 minutes of injury time. Mainwaring, walked back by Wiltshire. Edwards to John. There's the dummy run by Billy Rabel. The kick forward meant for Hall, but it's taken by Graham Williams, the Wellington flanker, just outside the All Black 25. There's Wiltshire hacking on. Lovely pick up by McCormick. This is a great final rally by the Welshman. And the ref waiting for advantage, but Kerry Jones slices his kick. That's booted on by Colin Meads. My goodness, the Welshman in trouble there. It's hacked on by Williams. And eventually it's Barry John who gets the ball clear. And the referee's whistle goes for no side. And New Zealand have beaten Wales by 13 points to 6. A tremendously hard and bruising match. A very happy sight that for New Zealand eyes, because it means now that they've levelled the series against Wales to 3 victories each, and certainly sets them up as world champions. They've still to play France and Ireland and Scotland, but they'll be delighted with this particular victory here at Cardiff Arms Park, where after all they'd only won once before, and that was in 1963.